Jong is off. Based on the fact they're now stating, and I'll quote what's been said here by Gerard Romero, that Barcelona will not be obligated to sell Man United target Frankie de Jong should they activate the third lever of money. So another 200, 300 million pound coming in. What are you saying, Neeks? Is this mind games from Barca to try and get us to pay the deferred wages? Or is this it? Is it time now Man United give up on Frankie de Jong? They've waited long enough and move on to a new and different target.
I've been pretty consistent in this, in the sense that Ten Hag knows De Jong personally. Like, he knows him. He has his number. He probably's got his wife's number. Probably got his mother's number. Like, he knows him personally. So if Ten Hag is convinced, or he has belief, may not 100%, but has a belief that De Jong will still join, whatever the issue is why he's not joining now, then I don't have an issue with still pursuing it. And I say pursuing it, there's not much more we can do right now. We've made a bid, and Barca have accepted the offer. There's nothing more we can do right now, unless, I don't know, there's no conversation as far as I'm aware about him wanting certain wages that we're not offering. There's no discussion about that. So the offer's on the table. We've spoken to him. He knows what we're going to offer him if he decides to come. Cool. Look at other targets. It don't mean that you dash away De Jong and you're not going to sign him, but we have to be ready to act. If on the 30th of August we get breaking news, De Jong texts Ten Hag and says, I'm not coming. Leave me alone. Delete my number. We have to be like, the deal has to be ready to sign a replacement, whether that be Ruben Neves. I don't want Tielemans, but that's a name that's been touted out there, whatever it might be. So we need to get working on other deals. But I'm not saying now go do those deals, because if De Jong is then available on the 20th of August and we've got the second choice and the third choice, we're going to look like idiots. But we're also going to look like idiots if we don't get a replacement for De Jong. We don't get another option. So for me, work on other deals, like I said, at least over a week ago. But Ten Hag knows more than I do, more than you do, more than the reporters do, whether or not De Jong is willing to join or willing to leave Barcelona. So I think leave the door open, but get to work on other deals.
But don't you feel a bit embarrassed though, like how you're chasing Man United right now? Man United remind me of that team, but that guy, that's got all the designer, all the money, but still can't get no girls. And it's a bit weird, like how you lot are still chasing after this guy. And look, I kind of agree with you. I'll be honest. We can banter all the time, but I agree with you. I do think that there's not a concrete idea that he doesn't want to come, but I feel like the dragging along is just, you're wasting time. Like, you're meant to be backing your manager, so you should have just paid the money, whatever it is. In my opinion, you kind of like go along as this idea is you're the biggest club in the world, so put the money down. If you got to pay the 16-17 million pounds for his wages, sometimes people do crazy things to get what you need in life, So for me, I feel like you lot are trying to do something.
But you see me, if we're gonna use the analogy of a guy going after a girl, I'm saying to the guy, listen, jump on Tinder, jump on Hinge, go out, keep swiping, meet other girls. But if the one you want, like, there's a possibility, don't tell her to leave you alone, because if she's available, then that's the one you want. Now, I'm not saying
right now,
Rihanna. I'm not saying Rihanna. I'm not saying he's top class, but he's up there.
But what you're doing right now is
up there. Yeah,
but what you guys are doing right now, is you're chasing after that ex, or chasing after that girl that's still, she hasn't got over her ex. She still wants to be with him. She's still sleeping in his bed at night. And you're calling her. You're still
paying for all of the food. You're paying for her Nobu, all her Louis Vuittons, all of that stuff. You're not getting nothing. So for me, I just feel like what you need to do is you had a clear plan what you're doing, and it looks like you have got a bit of a plan, like what you're doing. But I would say for me, you're looking bad out of this Jong deal, and I would move on if it was me.
Do you know what's going to happen if this carries on though? Because everyone knows United want De Jong. He doesn't seem like he wants to leave Barca, and he's rightfully owed the third wage that he's played his football to earn. So if the longer this goes on, clubs are going to know United are desperate. So when they start pursuing replacements, they go and ask Wolves, how much for Ruben Neves? Wolves are going to say, listen, these guys are desperate. I reckon we can add on a couple, maybe 10, 15 mil to our demand, and they'll still give it to us because they need the midfielder, as they've been trying for one all summer. So the longer you guys go on without pursuing replacements and being so focused on De Jong, the more you're going to potentially have to pay for replacements as well. Because let's say you go to Wolves and ask for Neves, they're going to need to replace him because he's one of their most important players. So the fee they're going to demand from you is going to be so much higher than it would have been if you just given up on Frankie earlier and pursued him, let's say, in the middle of July or at the beginning of July. So the longer this chase goes on for without you getting him, then the harder you're making it is to sign a replacement as well.
Listen, I agree. But then there's also, I'll give an example. Not last summer, the summer before, when the Sancho deal was going on, and it was like, is Sancho coming? Is he not? Are Man United going to pay what Dortmund want? Blah, 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 100 million or whatever it was. And in the end, we didn't get him, but we got him a year later. Now, people will say, well, I don't know if he's worth it because of last season. I believe Sancho's worth it. I think he's going to prove that he's worth it over time, Manchester United. Should we have signed, I don't know, a proper replacement, dropped him and gone on to, I don't know, let's say it was Jack Grealish, because that was one of the touted players. Should we have got Jack Grealish, even though Sancho was maybe the first choice, for example, and missed out on Sancho? Or do you say, no, we're going to keep going?
Nick, can I just stop you there for 1 second? I know you're talking about, but the difference is Sancho wanted to come. There's rumors that Frankie de Jong doesn't want to come. So what you're doing is a little bit, I get what you're saying, but the Sancho thing was totally different because Sancho wanted to come, whereas Frankie, there's a lot of news saying
but listen, if my manager is so deluded that he's pursuing a player that doesn't want to come, our issue is bigger than De Jong not want to come. We've got a deluded manager for the next 4 or 5 years. That's the real issue here. So, I can't view it like that. I have to believe that he must have spoken to De Jong.
Yeah, I think the difference between the Sancho one and the De Jong one is with the Sancho one, even though it weren't ideal, you still had decent enough players in the squad to fill in that role for another year while you waited. Now I don't think you do. Now I think you're tight in midfield as is, and especially in DM. I don't think you've got the quality in a DM at the minute at the club of a De Jong or of a Neves. So I think you have to go all out this window and get someone. You need someone because you cannot afford to run with Fred.
The one thing I will say, is it's not all bad. Like everyone's, I mean, it's all funny. We're laughing at this deal and so on. It's taken so long to go for De Jong, but there is other players out there that could actually suit Man United better, like Sangare. Ibrahim Sangare from PSV. He'd be perfect to come into the system, player from PSV. So I think Ten Hag will be familiar with him. I believe he's one of Man United's targets. There's a lot of players out there that maybe aren't at the level of De Jong at the moment, but I think they can be better than De Jong, and they probably come at a much cheaper price. Yeah. Neves will be very pricey, but again, he's Premier League proven and he can take the team to another level regardless. So I don't think it's all bad without De Jong.
I think there's a major problem because I'm agreeing with a Spurs fan, so there's something wrong with this.
Probably means you're wrong.
Probably.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, it could be. Yeah.
I don't think anything anybody has said is wrong. We could end up playing more for another target. We could end up with they're going to have faith by not ending up signing Frankie de Jong. But I just agree with what Neeks is saying. I trust Erik Ten Hag. At the moment, I do. And the reason I actually trust him more than maybe if he'd been here 3 or 4 years, because he's so new and fresh. Generally, managers get given what they want when they join Man United, and I just think if he'd have sat with a player and the player's like, listen, I'm just not coming, even if they give me double my deferred wages, I'm not signing for Man United, I don't think we'd still be chasing him. That's just my belief, and it's bad for banter because it's a fairly logical train of thought. They're friends, they know each other. I think the deal is still on, but it is a big gamble because if we don't end up with him and we end up signing nobody else, then there is a big hole in that team for the year and there'll be scrutiny. And I think what it is doing is undoing all the other good pieces of business because Man United keep being spoken about as if we still need to sign 20 more players this month. Like we've signed as many as City, and City are being raved about as having the greatest summer since sliced bread. And I'm not suggesting.
Terry, come on, no, you can't say that.
What do you mean?
Add some context there, Terry, man. Come on.
No. I'm not. There's no context to be added because people say
there's heavy context, bro. Come on.
What context is needed there then?
Okay, so let's see. One team's been winning leagues and will probably win the league again, and another team is building to even secure a top 4 spot. So you can't say, oh, we've signed the same number of players who also aren't the same quality, then say, our window is just as good as theirs.
You say so again. it depends on how you're framing it. I didn't say we've signed as good of players. People
No,
are
no. But what?
go on. Have your contextual say as well.
I feel like, do you know what I say? Say it again. I think what you said was you signed the same amount of players with City, and then you said there's no context that needs to be given. But the context needs to be that City only needed to sign 2 or 3 players.
Yeah, you needed
but
more.
In my opinion, you need to sign about 11 players.
Yeah,
so,
but again, I get your point. I get your point. But that for me is I know what you're doing there. That is no. You're being hyperbolic, like a lot of people have done. Even the Mushrooms do it as well. The Mushroom Man United fans do it. We need 11 players. If we don't get 11 players, I'm going to be angry. We were never going to sign 11 players in one summer. So you set the expectation that high, and you're always going to fail. What's the saying I heard? One, my favorite saying in the world: if you judge a goldfish by its ability to climb a tree, you'll always be disappointed. When you set expectations up here, United need 11 players, otherwise it's a dead summer. Then you're always going to say we've had a dead summer. We've signed 3 very good players, different stages of their career, different levels of talent. We will probably sign two more minimum. 5 players for me is about the maximum I ever want my club to sign. I think when you start going into 7s and 8s and 9s, it's very hard to integrate and get right. I even look at Spurs. I think 6. You haven't really signed 6. Fraser Foster doesn't really count. He's a reserve. You said 5 first-team players. I think if Spurs start going into 6 and 7s and 8s, then there'll be a problem with integration. And that isn't speaking at Spurs. I've always believed that. So we're pretty much on course to bringing in 4 or 5 new players for our first team that will improve us. It's ridiculous the level of stick United are still getting, in my opinion.
But have you signed 4 or 5 players that are going to go into your first team or your squad? Because as I said, for me, I feel like you need definitely, okay, I can say you need 11 players, but in my opinion, I would say you need 8 first teamers. Like I'm talking about starters, regular playing. For me,
come on, let's be honest.
Say we need 8 first teamers. Would you A, expect, and B, think it's good business to buy 8 first teamers in one window?
Well, if you think about it, if we're going back to Spurs as an example, Spurs, I believe, have got 4 first team that they can be plugged straight into a formation, into a tactic for Spurs, and they're going to start with Jed Spence, Perisic. Richarlison could start above over someone like Kulu, depending on the game, and obviously Basuma is definitely going to start. And obviously they bought who was the last person that was? They bought Lenglet. Lenglet could start again over the likes of Ben Davis. So I believe they bought 5 players which can go straight into their team. Man United, you bought the left back, who again he looks competent. We don't know exactly Malacia. He looks like he's competent, but we don't know if he's going to outtake the likes of Shaw and
I would say he's probably as likely to take Shaw's position as Richarlison is to take Kulusevski.
But my overarching point is that Man United haven't bought players that are guaranteed I'm going to take that mantle, take that space. So
I don't know. I don't know, Lee. I think that Malacia could very well could. You know, he's not a kid. He's 22 years of age. The manager wanted to bring him into to Ajax for a reason, and he's a player that I think can do it. Eriksen's a real interesting one as well, because there's an irony in saying he's not a first team player. The same people that say that Bruno is a stat padder, overrated, no tech, loses the ball too much, are also now saying, well, he ain't a first. How's he getting another Bruno? Bruno's too good for him to come into the team. This is what I mean by the contradictions in the contradictions within the criticism we get. Is it doesn't stack up if we're having a serious conversation. If it's banter, cool, but either Bruno isn't very good, therefore we've bought a new first teamer in Eriksen, or Bruno's really, really good, and we bought a good bit of backup for him. And the only thing that let Bruno down is he was never getting a rest, and Bruno not getting a rest burnt him out. So therefore, bringing someone in like Eriksen, who is more than capable of filling in for him, means you keep Bruno at his best all year. And Bruno Fernandes all year is dangerous. So my question would be, which of the two is it?
Just really quickly, I think what you guys have done is the perfect model. You don't buy players to come in and replace another first team player. You come in to buy players to compete with the first team players. Bruno and Eriksen are just as good as each other. They have different parts about their game that they're better at. Eriksen's the more senior player, so you know definitely what you're getting with him. And Bruno will learn a lot from Eriksen, especially passing wise. So it's not a question about who's better, who's going to start. And I think the same for Malacia and Shaw. And he's not coming in to be Shaw's understudy. He's coming in to compete with Shaw, and if he's good enough, he'll take Shaw's spot. Same with Lissandro Martinez at the centre-back position. I think Ten Hag's trying to, similar to Conte, create a team where it's not about this is our first team player and this is our backup. It's about having a bunch of players that are competing for the same positions. And if you're good enough, you're going to make the squad. It's as simple as that.
You know what?
I also don't think it makes sense for a new manager to come straight into a new team and buy 8-9 players like straight away. I think they need to almost give the chance to what the current crop of who they've got there, because
I totally
as much as United's players, a lot of them are dross. There are some decent ones there that he needs to give the chance to.
But like what I will say, sorry, go on. Sorry.
I just want to say, I think people overstate United's current squad about how bad it is personally. Because yes, there are holes in there. Yes, there are players who probably shouldn't be there. But at the end of the day, like, this is a squad that also finished second. You can call it a fraudulent second, a false second, or you want. It still came second that season. And if the players were that terrible, they wouldn't have come second. So I personally think that, like Tom said, buying so many first-team players is a bit mad, because you could easily save that money and spend it more wisely if you give the players a chance and they prove it to you. Like, I just feel like people suddenly, with United, I feel like people suddenly think everyone's crap there, when realistically, I've always said it. Like, people have said, oh, like, Bruno's suddenly dog shit, and Shaw's shit, and Rashford's shit, and Martial's shit, and all these players are shit. But I personally think for the last 2 years, they haven't been properly coached. As in, Bruno might lose the ball a lot, but he was basically allowed to freestyle. Like, he didn't have a system or a structure or like a strict way that he had to play for the benefit of whatever system Ollie was playing, because I don't really know what was playing, to be honest.
Well, yeah, I think
people overstate how bad some United's players are. And
I think you're right. Again, as a United fan, it cuts a little deeper when you literally get ridiculed for 2 years for having no system, no coaching, PE teacher, and then that guy goes and a top class coach comes in. Oh, actually, your squad ain't good enough either. Well, then by that logic, why are we blaming Ollie for everything? Like, it never makes any sense.
Exactly. If the players were bad, why did Ollie get blamed then? Like, it doesn't make sense.
This is what I was gonna say though. Like, I think a lot of people always miss the point that two things can be true. In any given situation, two things can be true. The players can still not be good enough, even though you do get a better coach. And I think my overarching thing is, I feel like it is so downplayed how bad Man United are. I feel like people always go to, yeah, this is what Rashford has done before. Yeah, Bruno got 20-something GA in one season, etc., etc. Where I just think Man United are so bad. And it's not even like a banter thing anymore. Like, it's actually disturbing how much you're now, oh, Martial wasn't good 2 weeks ago, but now he's going to be the master of the plan. Oh, 2 weeks ago, Rashford had a broken shoulder, or he had a bad hip, and now all of a sudden he looks good in pre-season. So I feel like, again, there's a lot of people, and Terry's kind of said it, and Meek said it as well. There's a lot of people that are like, oh, well, I believe in the manager now. But there are still granted issues where I can say, well, why do I think that Eric Ten Hag is going to come in and go straight away and just hit the ground running? There are chances, and high chances, that he's going to come into the league and actually flop. Like, we can't just go off what he's done before. I can put that to the table and say, we can put that to the table and say to you that we don't know for definite. You can't give me verbatim. I can say for Conte, because he's seen what he's done in the Premier League. He knows the Premier League. He's world renowned as being probably third best manager in the world, some will say. So I can say that with probably more so concrete than what you can say. So I just look at it and I think it's very different.